Warning, this content is for entertainment and educational purposes only. This video is brought to you by First Detachment Nutrition. Battle tested, expert formulated. Use discount code AB10 at checkout for 10% off.
One of the questions, I know that I'm going to get shitloads in tomorrow's Q&A, so I might as well answer it now. Arnold Classic Peak Week next week. What are we doing about it? Who's taking me into the show? The person that's taking me into the show is right there.
All right, folks. You heard it from the man himself, Samson Dauda. His wife is going to do his peak for next week, but this is just a temporary thing. Let's talk today about who Samson should choose for his next coach and how you go about choosing a coach that matches your personality and your needs. We're going to dig into all that in just 1 second. All right, folks, before we dig into it, please check out the Science of Anabolics and PEDs e-course. It is available today at the Anabolic Bodybuilding website. Link is in the video description below. There's about 2 hours worth of free content. We go through all the science of performance-enhancing drugs and anabolics, how to use them safely, the science behind them. Go check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. So let's hear what Samson had to say about his wife coaching him and his future choice of coaches
for next week. And if those people are wondering, Mel basically she picked me for both Romania last year and Prague. She was the one who did the peak for those two shows. So this one for her, she's done it before recently. So she's going to be doing Arnold Classic for me next week. So I just want to answer that here and thereabouts. In terms of
That's interesting to hear that she did the peak for him last year. I thought Milos was his coach, but I guess he didn't do the peak for him. It's not that peaks are that complicated. I mean, people make them out to be more than what they are. Really, you just carb up a couple days out. For the big guy, it's a little more complicated. You have to be careful with carbing up. It's easy to get flat when you got a 300-pound dude. It's also easy to spill over, which I think has been his problem. They've probably been too aggressive with the carb ups in the past, but it's not rocket science. The big part is just making sure that somebody stays on track and doesn't do something stupid. That's what really the coach is there for at the end, but it's not super, super complicated. So I know she coached him, I think before Milos took over, she worked with him beforehand. So she was his coach.
Which I'm going to get shitloads of questions, and I've already seen them flooded my DMs already. Everybody's asking, man, who's going to be my next coach? Who's going to be? We have no idea. We just not even thinking, no way. Look, I don't know about you guys, man. You know what? When you're with somebody for a long time, you're emotionally involved with that person. It's not a professional relationship. It's a full-on relationship. And when you're no longer with that person, those emotions are still there.
It's interesting that he says we. I'm assuming that his wife is involved in this decision making, unless he's talking about himself in the first person we, which, some professional athletes do. He doesn't seem like the type to do that. I think Samson seems to be a pretty humble, easygoing guy. Maybe his wife is driving this ship. I don't know. It sounds like they're making this decision together, that they're going to be choosing a coach together, somebody to fit his needs. We shall see what the decision is, but that's what I am inferring from what he's saying here.
Next thing you think after that is, okay, who am I going to... Honestly, you got it. Come on, man. You need some time. And for us is we just want to get the show over next week, and we want to take that time to freaking let the dust settle and let us fucking calm down and relax and get to a state of mind where we're relaxed, and then we can think about what our next move will be. So right now, there's right now the last time right now.
I'm not sure what his wife was saying. Saying something back there like right now we're just going to take our time. I mean, it makes sense to take your time. It's probably not a good idea. Honestly, I don't think it's a good idea to fire a coach unless you had some sort of major conflict in the heat of the moment. I don't think it's a good idea to hire somebody in the heat of the moment. You want to make sure that you have your thoughts and your emotions in line and in control, and then make a well-informed decision. I will say this, when it comes to decision making in life, what I found is when you make emotional decisions, when your emotions are raw and your emotions are high, you tend to make incorrect decisions. And part of being good at making decisions, is something that I've learned over the years from running businesses, is you need to pull emotion out of it. And it's better to delay if you know that you're in a sensitive or heightened emotional state, such as what you are post-show, because you're depleted, you're not thinking clearly. It probably is best to take your time and think things through. I also talked about a little bit earlier about people DMing him and blowing him up with suggestions on coaches. I'm surprised that he even checks his DMs. I've gotten to the point where I very rarely look at my DMs because it's mostly full of bullshit. People thinking they know how to do things better than I do, or people just criticizing me. I do get some positive DMs. I'll look at them occasionally, but I'm shocked at his level that he's even paying attention to the DMs. That can really wreck your mind as well. And it seemed like from his last video, where he was very emotionally raw after the show and talking about people coming at him and not appreciating the hard work and effort and chances that he takes when he gets on the bodybuilding stage, he seems like a guy that may be personally affected by the criticism from people. I get it. I'm not giving him a hard time for it. I've been through it myself. I'm not on his level by any means. I'm not even close to him. And I get blown up on contest prep by just jerks and dickweeds on on social media. And it's just really, it can affect you when you're in a raw emotional state. I've gotten better at tuning it out. Friends, some people that I trust in have advised me to just block people and move on. And that's what my advice would be to him. Honestly, he should probably have a manager or social media person handling his social media and not even look at it at all. I know a lot of professional athletes. I work with some professional athletes. They don't even look at their social media. They let other people handle it, which is probably the smarter approach, so you don't get yourself in trouble or say something stupid in the moment, or when you're emotionally vulnerable, such as what a lot of the controversy that happened last week, he sort of stirred up himself. Not to take anything away from him, but if I were advising him, if I were his mentor, coach, or whatever, I would just tell him post-show, just stay away from social media. Just stay away from it and let things simmer down. But I think he's taking the right approach. It sounds like he's going to take his time. I've had a lot of people reach out and ask me, why does he even need a coach to begin with? What is the point of even having a coach when you're at his level? He should know what he's doing. He probably does know what he's doing. I know what I'm doing, and I need a coach. Your mind is such a mess at the end of contest prep or during contest prep. You see things in the mirror that don't exist. And you're not really, some of it is you're paying for knowledge, but a big part of it is you're paying for that person that can keep you sane, that person that can keep you level, that person that can have a critical eye and talk you off the ledge when you're going to make stupid decisions. I know myself on prep, I would be tempted to make changes when changes are unnecessary. I think that's the biggest thing that people get themselves in trouble. And I've seen it with coaching people. And I've done it myself, where you make changes because you panic or you are upset, or you think your coach is not paying attention to you or not doing something properly. And then you just make things worse. And so that's why guys, even at that level, have a coach. Hell, it's every professional athlete has a coach or a mentor. And I would think that it would be smart to have that second set of eyes, that person that can remain objective and can give you sound advice when you're in pressure situations. I think that is what that person is for, to make the right decision. And from what I've heard about a guy like Hani Rambod, I don't know him personally. I've never spoken to him. But what I've heard about him is that he really understands the psychology of the sport. And it's not so much that he does anything special with how he preps people. It's that he really knows how the mindset of the athlete works and how to get the most out of the athlete going on stage. I'm sure he has some methods that work. He seems to be able to get his guys to peak better than anybody else does at the pro level. But I'm sure there's guys that are probably amateurs that could peak somebody, that are coaching amateurs that could peak somebody just as good as he is. But he seems to have a gift, from what I understand, and from his athletes that have worked for him, for how to get guys through those mentally tough situations and be an advocate for them. So that's probably something important. Some guys don't need that. Like while I do get a little emotional sometimes about things, I'm pretty level-headed. I honestly, for me, when choosing a coach, I just want somebody who's going to give me the formula, and I'll follow the formula. There's some people that are that way. I do get a little mental towards the end of prep, and I don't quite see things that are there. But for the most part, I don't need a rah-rah, pat on the back type of coach. And that's the thing when you're choosing coaches, and this would be my advice to people that are choosing coaches, make sure that coach fits your needs. If you're a person that just needs good information, if you want the smartest person in the room, then choose a smart coach. If you need somebody who's going to pat you on your back, pick you up when you're down, motivate you when you're unmotivated, then maybe the muscle science person is not the best person. You might need somebody who's going to push you and understands the psychology of being an athlete or being a bodybuilder better than someone who might be a muscle nerd. A lot of times the muscle nerd coaches aren't that great with the psychological part of it. Just been my experience. The guys that are better at knowing what buttons to push tend not to be as science-based sometimes, or they are more focused on the intangible rather than the tangible. And just, I don't know Samson, but just observing him and seeing how he behaves, and he seems like a sensitive kind of guy, would be my guess. And he's probably a guy that needs somebody who's more in tune with his psychology, that can be there for him, be a mentor, be a friend, help pick him up when he's down, keep him on the straight and narrow. Not that he needs to be on the straight and narrow, but you know what I'm saying, with the diet, keep him from making mistakes with the diet and the training, and keep him focused. That would be my guess. I don't know. I'm just speculating here, and we're all different. Clearly, he's one of the best in the world, so whatever he's done has worked quite well. Who am I to critique a guy that's had this type of success he's had? But I would say he probably needs a coach that's more in tune with the psychological portion of it, and that can be a mentor and somebody there to support him. It might be better for him to have somebody local that can be there with him, somebody in the UK that can be more hands-on, that can help guide him, that could be a friend, rather than somebody who's on the other side of the world, which most of the coaches, the good bodybuilding coaches, are here in the US. Some of them are in Europe, but maybe he would be better off with that type of person. I don't need that type of person. I don't need somebody to pick me up when I'm down. I honestly, it annoys me. I am more in tune. I tend to be an empath, and when I'm working with clients, I tend to be more in tune with their psychology and understand that is part of it. I'm probably a mix between both. I'm a bit, I know the science part, but I'm by no means an expert. There are people that are smarter than me in the science part, and I feel like I'm smarter than some of the science guys when it comes to the intangible stuff. I would say for him, I would probably focus on finding somebody that can help him with the intangible stuff. I don't think he needs help figuring out his macros. I think he's probably past that point. He's an advanced bodybuilder. He needs somebody that can be a motivational style of coach. All right, folks, that's all I've got on this one. Hopefully this is helpful to all of you. This doesn't just apply to Samson. When you're out looking for a coach, make sure that coach fits your psychology, that your needs. Ask yourself if this guy's going to be a hard ass and you don't like working with a hard ass. Why would you choose a hard ass? If you need somebody to provide you emotional support, why would you work with a science-based coach? If you are a person that doesn't need emotional support and wants somebody that's more based in science, then work with a science-based coach. Find a coach that meets your needs, that matches your psychology, that matches how you think. I feel like I found that in Justin. Justin and I have very similar personalities, I believe, and I understand how he works. And I like to think I'm a pretty easy client. I just check in when I need his help. ask him questions when I need questions. I don't bother him. Otherwise, I'm not one that needs somebody to pick me up when I'm down. I do that on my own. So when you're looking for a coach, find that guy that matches you. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. What would Samson need for a coach? Thank you for all your support. For coaching or consultations, head over to www.anabolicbodybuilding.com to book your spot today. I can help you with optimizing hormones, fat loss, muscle gain, physique, athletic performance, nutrition, and health. For more information, shoot me an email at bigp3rd@gmail.com.